Hi, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm showing a new layout for Bramble Fox using some of the new goodies from the wildlife collection. It's an absolutely stunning collection, loads and loads of sort of animal and safari and zoo themed perspectives. There's 4 stencils in total. There's also some paper snips and a set of dies as well. So really beautiful collection, and I'm going to be using lots of the bits in today's layout. So I've got a photo of my little boy recently at the zoo. You can see in the background there is a giraffe, and I've started off with a piece of paper from the July hip kits with that gorgeous giraffe print on it, and I've cut a section across the top. It's about 8 inches wide I think, and then I've torn it on the diagonal just for a bit of texture. I'm going to use that as the kind of anchor point or the shelf for all of my bits and pieces to sit on. So I'm going to have my photo over onto the right there. And I've got some bits here from the Simple Stories, I think it's called Go Wild collection. So obviously with giraffes in the photo I need to have some giraffe embellishments. So I've pulled out one of the die cut giraffes, and I'm also using the gorgeous little Bramble Fox giraffe perspective over on the right hand side there, along with the little green camera. It's green and sort of orangey colours, matches really well. That's cut from the paper snips from the collection. And then over on the left I've popped some little tree die cuts, because the giraffes at the time of the photo were inside their house munching on loads of branches that had been hung up for them. And I've also put a lovely gorgeous lion there. I love the etched details on these animals, it just really brings them to life. So I've got a cute little lion there with an etched face on, and also the little signpost, and I think it says lions, tigers, bears and something else, I can't remember, but it's 4 different animal names on there. And I thought that fit really nicely over there behind my lion. Popped a little banner, like flag bunting along the top as well, just to bring in a few more colours. And then I've used some thickers from my hip kits for my title, which is Stand Tall. Now, because we were at the zoo and obviously it's a zoo themed layout, I've got lots of giraffe bits on the page at the moment, but I also, my favourite animals to see at the zoo are giraffe and zebra. So I wanted to get some black and white elements on the page as well. Now there is a zebra perspective in the set, but I didn't want to use him on this layout because I've got some photos of my little boy in front of a zebra, so I wanted to use him on that layout, but I did want some black and white zebra print. So what I've done here is I've used stencil number 43, which comes with the set. It's a lovely zebra print, and I've used an embossing pen through it onto some white cardstock and black embossing powder. Heated that up so that that's kind of melted and set, and then I'm using the new die set to cut out some arrows and tabs from that. So I could have used black ink for that through the stencil, but the embossing powder I find gives a really nice texture. It's shiny, it's a bit bumpy, almost sparkly. So I just love the texture it brings, a little bit more interest on the page, but I love those pops of black and white that I've created with that stencil. So I'm just going to scatter those arrows around ever so slightly. And I've also pulled in the zoo perspective from one of the little sets, the same set that that signpost is from. And I'm going to pop that under my photo with some more alphabet stickers to just say Zoo Days. And I decided I wanted to add a little bit of colour and detailing to my background with some very light mixed media. So I've pulled out a Distress Oxide here. This is fossilised amber, which is a perfect colour for giraffes. And I'm just using a blending brush and adding that directly onto my background in a circular motion, just in 2 small areas, and just keeping it quite concentrated. And then I'm using stencil number 44, which is this gorgeous giraffe print, and a Distress ink this time, one of the smaller ones. This is Frayed Burlap, I think this shade is called. But it's kind of like a greyish brown tone, but over that yellow, it's really nice for a sort of giraffe print. And I love the way that that stenciling has come out. So I've just added that in a couple of areas just for that added detail, and then I'm going to go ahead and get things stuck down. So I'm sticking that giraffe paper down flat. I'm going to have lots of dimension on top of it, so I've stuck that down flat. It's already got my title stuck onto it, so that was handy. And then it's just a case of rubbing my pencil lines out from my mixed media, and then getting these bits and bobs stuck in place. So as always with me, I like to add a white border around my photos just to frame them. Just feels it gives them a bit of separation from my backgrounds and any detailing I've got going on behind it. I'm also going to add a layer of basil cardstock just for a bit more colouring, and it matches the alphabet stickers I've used for my title really nicely. And then just to bring in a bit more black and white, I've got a zebra print paper. I think it's from Bella Boulevard. I think it's called Zoo Crew, actually, that collection. It's one of the only papers I think I've bought from that collection, but I just love it. And I've been hoarding it for a long time. I've finally now cut into it, and I'm just adding that, again, another layer behind my photo, just for those black and white little pops. And I've distressed all those edges with my edge distressing tool, and I'm going to raise that up on foam. I always like to raise my photos up on foam, just helps to keep them the centre point of the page, real focal point if they're stood up against everything else. And then I can go ahead and start embellishing. So I'm going to start with my little giraffe over on the right there, the die cut one, and I've got a little perspective one as well from the wildlife collection. Love that they're both facing the same way, and they're both facing in to my little boy and the same way as the giraffe in the photo as well, so that's worked out really nicely. I'm just adding a little bit of foam behind the perspective one, just so that it can overlap my photo but then still lay flat on the page and have good contact for getting that stuck down. I'm going to have that little paper snip camera behind that as well. Over to the left then, I'm going to get that banner of flag pieces in place from the Simple Stories set, and my little trees. I know where everything is going to go now. I've sort of had a bit of a play, so getting stuck in and getting everything stuck down without faffing it too much. Just peeling off the backing on my perspectives. They always come with a protective film on them, so you do need to peel that off, and then using my glossy accents to get those stuck in place. And then, as well as cutting those black and white arrows with the dies, I also cut a little, it's kind of like a banner piece, I suppose, but it's an uneven shape, which I really love. It's not a rectangle, it's a really interesting shape, and I love things like that. So I've cut one of those out as well. I've added the zoo perspective on top, and then I'm just going to use those Hip Kit thickers again to write the word day underneath. Toyed with a capital D at first, but then I changed it to a lowercase, just felt like it looked better because the word zoo is all in lowercase. I'm going to commit and get those arrows stuck in place as well now. Some of them you'll see I'm raising up on foam pads and just layering them on top of things. I'm going to stick one on top of my lion and that sign over on the left as well. I'm going to stick that one down flat, and I actually tried to glue it down and then realised I haven't stuck my lion down, so I wondered why it kept moving. So I had to come back in a minute with the glossy accents and get my lion stuck down. But I'm also adding a couple of paper snips up at the top there. I've gone for a kind of yellowy coloured one and an orange coloured one to match the kind of colour scheme of the giraffe that I've got going on here. And that's right, I just stuck my little lion down. And I'm going to raise those paper snips up on foam because there's a lot of dimension on this layout. A lot of things are raised up on foam and they didn't look quite flat on the background there. My mixed media is obviously flat, just ink onto cardstock. So I felt like with those flat as well, it just looked a bit boring. So I've raised those up on foam. And then I'm going to finish the layout off with some black splatters for a bit of drama. I've got lots of little bits of black scattered throughout the layout with that embossing and the zoo perspective, the black and white paper around my photo. So I felt like black was a nice colour and kind of brought in a bit of drama to the page. And that's just a black acrylic paint I've used there and watered it down slightly. Just with a small paintbrush, added some splatters, and that is me finished. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the layout and the process and it gives you some inspiration. If the wildlife collection is not uploaded to the website when this video goes live, it will be very shortly. Do keep an eye out for it. And if you're in the Bramble Fox Friends Facebook group, I'm sure you'll have already seen sneak peeks of it. But it's an absolutely stunning collection and well worth having. And I think you can buy the stencils as a set of 4 as well. So you get an additional stencil. I think only 3 of them are going to be for sale, but if you buy the set, you get that extra one as well. So well worth checking those out. But I'll leave some links to the Bramble Fox store and the Facebook group in the description box below. But thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.